Mr. Dabodny. Which one is that? That is item 7, AB 221. Good afternoon, Mr. Dabodny. So members, we have about 20 bills left out of the 38.
Mr. Chair, members, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm here to discuss my bill AB 221, which will establish a DMV pilot project to develop a digital driver's license application. By 2017, the U.S. will surpass 200 million smartphone users, or nearly 65% of the country's total population. Simply put, Americans use their smartphones for almost every daily activity you can think of. Digital boarding passes to make a flight, Apple Pay and Google Wallet to make purchases, using DocuSign to sign their mortgage paperwork or to buy insurance. Our phones clearly have become essential everyday tools that we rely and depend on. California is also a world leader in technological innovation, and this body has consistently been at the forefront of adopting new technologies to better provide services to our citizens. I also would like to highlight the fact that we currently have not only the ability and the desire to be a leader in this forefront, but we have competition. 2 other states, Delaware and Iowa, have already gone down the path to create a digital driver's license application. Simply put, a digital driver's license would be similar to steps towards providing a safer, more efficient, and convenient service to our constituents. There are numerous advantages to offering a digital version of a driver's license. In terms of efficiency, for replacing a lost or stolen license can be time-consuming and costly, both on the government and on the citizen side. With a digital driver's license app, recovering licenses could be as simple as re-downloading the mobile app onto your new replacement phone. In terms of security, a lost or stolen license can be and is frequently used by bad actors to steal personal information or as a fraudulent identification source. However, if your phone is lost or stolen, a digital driver's license could have embedded security features to prevent access to the app. In terms of convenience, a digital driver's license will also facilitate increased commercial transactions. One of the bill's supporters is PayPal, and we'll be hearing from them shortly. Also, I note that under this legislation, paper licenses will certainly remain an option. We are not replacing the physical form of the driver's license. We simply are looking at possible supplemental applications for a digital driver's license. Second. I would now like to turn it over to hear from one of the bill's co-sponsors. We also, before I do that, would just like to highlight within this legislation a number of steps that we really were appreciative of the chair and this committee to help us come up with really, I think, a reasonable time frame that would start on April of 2016, where the application would have to be development in process going forward. We would add actually a date within that from the 9-month period to give us an update. So after 9 months, the DMV would have to come back, give us an update on the bill. Then 18 months later, we would ask that it be concluded and that we have a final report. And we'd also like to make sure that if that report is successful going forward, we would have a July 2018 deadline to make the DMV offer this service to our constituents. Obviously, at the 9-month or 18-month deadline, if we had issues, if there's concerns, we could readdress those, we could delay the implementation, and we could obviously bring it up for consideration to see how we'd need to address concerns within the bill. But I am looking forward to working with the DMV, the CHP, and other stakeholders in making sure we go forward on this bill. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to one of the bill's sponsors.
And I'll remind you, 3 witnesses, 2 minutes each.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members. Jamie Miner from Niemela Pappas and Associates on behalf of PayPal in strong support of AB 221. So digital driver's license have the potential to reduce risks of identity theft and fraud by incorporating technologies like quick response codes, biometrics, so your fingerprints, and tokenization in the authentication process, and by providing information in a digital format that can more easily be incorporated in the customer onboarding process. Digital driver's licenses will help facilitate the adoption of digital or mobile wallets by allowing the consumer to rely more heavily on their mobile device as a replacement to their traditional wallet. For several years now, the state has allowed for digital representations of one's insurance cards, and PayPal and others have already made progress on the digitization of financial instruments. The digitization of one's identification card is the last step in moving towards the full digitization of the physical wallet. So we applaud the author's continued efforts to keep technology moving forward in this state and believe this bill will help open doors for a safe and efficient consumer experience.
Any other members of the public that would like to testify in support of the author's bill? Any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the bill? Committee members, questions? Ms. Baker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Dubovne, for looking for ways in which we can be advancing technology that makes transactions easier. And I applaud you in that effort. I do have many concerns about the bill, which we've preliminarily discussed, and I wonder if we can chat about those right now. One of them is certainly the study and pilot project issue. It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, what this bill does is say there needs to be a study within the DMV to see if they can even do this. But the bill, regardless of what the outcome of the study is, implements a digital driver's license. Have you thought about bifurcating that and starting with just let's have a pilot project instead of a foregone conclusion? Because under, I think the way it's currently written, if the study is unsuccessful, to use the terminology you'd mentioned, we're still going to have implementation, and we have to go back and change a bill rather than take more initiative.
I am fully confident that with the number of stakeholder meetings we've already undergone with the DMV, with the CHP, with the chair, with his staff on transportation here, and with the general public, I think that this will be a successful pilot program. I did, however, make the decision to leave in a deadline for implementation because I do think we need to have a goal set out that says that when this pilot program is successful, we will move into the phase where we offer this product to our consumers. This is not a matter of if, but rather when. We've already seen two other states, Iowa and Delaware. I don't think anyone would consider Iowa and Delaware, with all due respect to those fine states, as a hotbed of innovation or technology. We have Silicon Valley in our backyard. I've talked to a number of stakeholders, PayPal obviously being one of them, but throughout Silicon Valley, closer obviously to your district than mine, that are very excited about this technology. So we want to begin this process hoping for a successful conclusion. However, because we also want to be prudent, we have built in two checkpoints. One, 9 months after the start of the pilot program to begin. So that would be, I believe, in April of 17. And then finally, at the end of that year, in December of 17, that way would give us two separate checkpoints where the DMV would report back and give us an update on their progress, express concerns. If we need to, at either one of those points, delay implementation or look at passing new legislation that would possibly change the program, that will obviously be on the table. But we're not telling the DMV they have to implement a certain type of application. We're not telling them what should be included. We're saying that they have the ability to develop this new tool. And if you look at most pilot programs that we've seen successfully implemented in the state, they have had some type of implementation deadline in the future that we would come to a conclusion. What we don't want, I don't think our constituents have a stomach for, is endless studies and endless debates on issues just for the sake of a study or debate. We want to make sure that we're working towards a goal. So when you're at the airport, you can use your online boarding pass from Southwest Airlines that any TSA officer will accept with a digital driver's license that will also be secure and safe to make sure you identify who you are.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. I don't doubt that there is the ability to create this technology. We do have Silicon Valley in our backyard, as well as, you know, we went to the moon 40 years ago. We should be able to figure this out. My concern is that we have a foregone conclusion that the DMV will be capable of doing this, and that their reports will come back to us with a foregone conclusion. And the if, it's not if, but when, kind of actually tells me that this is already being pushed forward rather than in a deliberative process where we're going to come back and say that we need to take affirmative action rather than have a foregone conclusion. That's one of the concerns I have about the bill. Another is it doesn't specify protections for privacy. And I don't know if you're open to a referral. I'm not sure if this bill has been referred to the Privacy Committee, if that's something you're open to through the deliberative process there. But this does raise many issues of privacy, and I wonder if you'd comment on that.
Well, I will tell you, we are committed to working with the DMV, but I do strongly believe it's a matter of when, not if. I mean, when you look at where technology is going, when you look at what you do on your smartphone today, I mean, we've passed a number of laws in the last couple of years that allow you to use your car insurance when you present to law enforcement on your smartphone. You can now use DocuSign to buy personal insurance, and we're passing a law this year to make sure you can buy annuities and life insurance. I signed my mortgage documentation on my smartphone recently. When you go to Southwest Airlines counter or through the TSA security line, you can use your boarding pass on your smartphone. So I think it's a little short-sighted to think that this isn't something that we're going to be needing to address in the near future. We do have a deadline for implementation. That deadline is July 1st, 2018, so we're not in some kind of blind rush to get this done. That's more than 3 years from today. That gives us plenty of an opportunity to have this discussion and debate. In terms of security, I'm fully committed to making sure that this product offered is not only more secure than a physical driver's license and more convenient, but that we make sure that we're protecting our consumers who will use them. One of the reasons I passed a similar piece of legislation that did go through privacy was to keep government, in this specific instance, state agencies as accountable as a private market in terms of making sure they're reporting privacy breaches, but also making sure they're providing the same kind of safeguards to our constituents when they've had some type of privacy breach in a state agency, including the DMV. So we all have to be very aware of the security concerns going forward. But I think when you look at the type of technologies out there, we've had a number of stakeholder meetings, and I'd be glad to have you come to the next one. We've talked about things like encrypted codes, smart barcoding, biometrics. When you talk to some of the experts from some of our pillars in the Silicon Valley community, they have talked to us about the technology they're using in their products to make sure e-commerce is safer. We're really excited about the prospect of having not only a more convenient form of ID to supplement a physical driver's license, not replace at this point, but also we're looking at making sure it's safe and secure.
And I appreciate that. I'll make a quick, Mr. Chairman. The final area that perhaps can be addressed, if not in the bill, then certainly in the conversations you're having, goes actually to the in the criminal law aspect, in the search and seizure rules that we have, constitutional rules when you hand over your device to an officer. Unfortunately, our statutes don't always keep up with that. Is this an area that you've looked into as well?
This is obviously something that is of concern that we are working with stakeholders. CHP has been very thoughtful in their analysis, and we're working with them closely, the DMV as well. The goal will be within the DMV's pilot program, when this product is hopefully available to our constituents throughout the state, and people that want to use it, obviously be a volunteer kind of system. No one would have to have a digital driver's license. They could just keep the physical form. But we want to make this a product that you would not have to hand over your phone in the long run. When you go to Starbucks now, you can use your gift card, load it onto your phone. They don't actually take your phone. They have a scanning device that simply just scans quickly. If you go to many department stores or convenience stores now, you can pay with Apple Pay or Google Wallet. They don't take your actual phone. They use a scanning device that reads a smart barcode. The information then pops up onto their device. I think in the long run, this would make interactions with the CHP faster and more efficient, because even today, most of the time, the CHP either has to enter the information by hand onto a device, which can be somewhat dangerous, or they have to swipe the back, which is a magnetic strip, into a device where the information comes up. If we have a smart application that allows you to have a digital driver's license with smart barcoding, possibly, you could have in the future a device that the CHP or any law enforcement use that would scan that device that you're using, quickly upload the information into their device, and have more real-time information with possibly a more real-time photo that could help law enforcement identify who they're really talking to quicker.
Move the bill.
So, Mr. Dabodny, I want to remind you that it was a support that the chair has on this bill. Mr. Medina.
I wanted to ask the author if he knew where Iowa and Delaware are on the process of implementation.
One passed a resolution, I believe that was Delaware. Iowa passed a statute, both creating pilot programs to go forward. I think our time frame is a little more drawn out than theirs. I think it's a reasonable time frame. I actually really appreciate the chair of this committee for helping us come up with a reasonable time frame. I don't think 3 years and 3 months is a rush. But I do think at the end of the day we should have the goal of implementing a product that allows our constituents across this state to have a digital driver's license and not look at their friends and family in other states like Iowa and Delaware and say, my gosh, if they can do it, why can't California?
So we do have a first and a second. Any other questions from the committee of Mr. Dabodny?
Let me see your man.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dabodny, for clarification, would you please restate that you are taking the amendments?
I am taking the amendments of the committee. Thank you.
So with that, Mr. Dabodny, I'll be supporting your bill. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is a do pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian. Baker. Baker, no. Bloom.
Aye.
Bloom, aye. Santiago. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, no. Linder. Linder, aye. Medina.
Aye.
Medina, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian. O'Donnell.
I've been to Iowa.
It's out. It's 9-2. The bill is out. We'll leave the roll open for absent members.
Thank you.
Item number 12, Mr. Gatto. Members, Assembly Bill 605.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know you have a packed agenda, so I will try to be brief. Assembly Bill 605 is a consumer protection measure. It would clarify that the charge paid by consumers for electronically filing title and registration documents with the DMV should not include costs associated with services that are unrelated to filing the document. You know that there are private companies that make the DMV more efficient. People get their plates faster with this program, which is an important public safety component.
I'll second.
I respectfully ask for a aye vote.
You have members of the support?
I do.
2 minutes, please.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, John Doherty on behalf of TechNet. Very briefly want to point out that this actual program is a success story in the private partnership world and in the technology world. And the reason that it is so is because that it's direct, it's simple, and it provides a win-win for both consumers and the state. So respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Next witness.
Mark Weideman on behalf of Motor Vehicle Software Corporation. We respectfully ask for your aye vote. We are a first-line service provider that operates in this space. This bill clarifies the intent of a Blumenfield bill, AB 1215, that this legislature passed several years ago, and we appreciate the author.
Any other members of the public that would like to testify in support of the bill? Seeing none, any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition of the bill? Seeing one. 2 minutes, please, sir.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, John Moffitt on behalf of computerized vehicle registration. I'll keep my comments brief. With the bill in print, we are also a first-line electronic vehicle registration service provider headquartered here in California. The bill, as drafted, we're told, is intended to get at the business practice of bundling of various services to California dealerships. I think we have some questions and issues with respect to how the bill actually would get there, how DMV would implement it, what types of audits and requests they would be going through to actually meet that purpose. We've met with the author's office. We appreciate those conversations with them, and we look forward to continuing those conversations as the bill moves forward.
So noted. Any members of the committee have any questions of the author or the opposition? Seeing none, Mr. Gatto, would you like to close?
No, thank you.
So I do have I believe a first from Mr. Gomez. Who was the second? Mr. Medina is second. Mr. Gatto, thank you for bringing the bill to the committee. I'll be supporting your bill today. Madam Secretary, please call the roll. Thank you.
The motion is a do pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Bloom, aye. Santiago. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Kim. Kim, aye. Linder. Linder, aye. Medina. Medina, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian. O'Donnell.
That bill's out 11-0. We'll keep the roll open for absent members. Mr. Gatto,
Thank you.
Item number 29, Assembly Bill 1164, members.
Yes, this is 1164, which would require the California Department of Transportation to conduct an annual evaluation and rating of the quality of the state highway system using specified metrics and to report on the findings. We all know that bad roads cost motorists quite a bit, In California, there's estimates that it's a hidden tax that costs motorists about $2,500 a year. I think the more awareness we can bring to this subject would make sure that all of the people in the state, all of the stakeholders in the state would publicly have to justify the condition of the roads in California. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any witnesses in support of the author's bill?
Just logic and all that's good.
It always works in Mr. Gatto's favor. So any witnesses in opposition to the bill? Any questions of the committee? Mr. Gatto? Mr. Gatto, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
So we have a first by Linder, a second by Gomez. Mr. Gatto, I have concerns with your bill today, primarily because it duplicates efforts already underway within the department and even at the federal level. However, I want to endorse your bill because I support efforts to drive Caltrans to more and more towards a performance management tool. I would like to give your bill a courtesy vote today and encourage my colleagues to do the same. However, I would encourage you to work with my staff to refine your bill so we're making progress forward in this area.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is a due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Bloom, aye. Santiago. Chu. Chu, aye. Daly. Dodd. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia. Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez. Kim. Kim, aye. Linder. Linder, aye. Medina. Medina, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Nazarian. O'Donnell.
That bill is out 10-0. We'll keep the roll open for absent members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Congratulations. Thank you. So, members, file item number 20, Mr. Lowe, Assembly Bill 828. Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much, and committee members for allowing me to present Assembly Bill 828, along with my joint author, Assemblywoman Lingling Chang. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
So we do have members here in support. So, Ms. Chang, would you like to, and I'll remind you that it is a support.
Just say thank you.
2 minutes.
Thank you so much for your support, and I'll just ask for your aye vote at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Callahan, Internet Association, one of the co-sponsors of the bill, urge your aye vote. Thank you.
For the remainders of the public, would you, if you're in support, please state your name, who you represent, and that you support.
John Doherty, TechNet, in support.
Alex Loip on behalf of Uber Technologies in strong support.
Timothy Burr on behalf of Lyft in strong support. Thank you.
Jeremy Mers on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce in strong support.
So it looks like we've worked out the support. Anybody in the public who'd like to testify in opposition to the author's bill? You have 3 people, looks like, coming up. We have 3 chairs. It's just as a reminder to let you know that you have 2 minutes each. Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Christopher Quinn, thank you for having us here today regarding 828. I represent approximately 5,000 ground transportation operators in the state of California registered through the California Public Utilities Commission. Existing law currently stipulates, pursuant to vehicle code, that a commercial vehicle is a type that is required to be registered under that code when used for transportation of persons for hire, compensation, or profit. And then further stipulates, obviously, that the California Public Utilities provide some oversight of the transportation network companies. In this particular case, you have Uber, Lyft, Sidecar, and all of those companies that are indeed working for compensation and for profit of carrying passengers in the state of California. The introduction of this bill would require all small businesses in the state of California that do ground transportation to bear the cost, the over-the-road cost, that these TNCs would not have to. If they did not have to register themselves as commercial, they would no longer then have to pay the additional fees that all the rest of small businesses in the state of California pay when they register their vehicles for doing the very same work. And let me be clear, the work is the very same work. While the app is an exciting technology, once again, we don't want to hamper that, the vehicle on the road and its use is the same all the way across the board. So when that vehicle tears up the road in the state of California, we look for additional fees to be able to make those repairs. And that typically comes from the small businesses that are for hire in the state of California. On behalf of the Greater California Livery Association and the 5,000 operators and small businesses I represent in the state of California, we urge a no vote on 828.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Hi, my name is Barry Korngold. I'm representing the San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance. We strongly oppose AB 828 because we fail to see the justification for exempting vehicles from commercial registration that are used primarily for commercial passenger transportation, merely because they're affiliated with a transportation network company. These companies have flourished not because of their technical innovation, because legal taxis have used the same technology for just as long, but because of their innovation to avoid nearly all regulations that their competitors must follow. The California Vehicle Code definition of a commercial vehicle includes a vehicle which is used or maintained for the transportation of persons for hire, compensation, or profit. The currently ignored definition by the CPUC of a TNC vehicle is one that is not primarily purchased for a commercial purpose. However, Uber has partnered with Toyota, GM, and other auto dealers who offer special incentives for Uber drivers. Last year, Lyft worked with a custom auto manufacturer to design the Lyft Plus luxury SUV for Lyft drivers. And companies like Breeze have also popped up, which rent and market their vehicles exclusively for TNC use. Although Uber and Lyft claim most of their drivers work part-time, there is no official record or documentation of this, as they claim that's proprietary information. Uber ads offer self-employment and special deals for drivers who work at least 40 hours a week, and this is in San Francisco, has to be in San Francisco. And many TNC drivers boast online and elsewhere that they've quit their full-time jobs to work for Uber or Lyft. Commercial vehicles cause more wear and tear to the roads and significantly add to congestion and pollution. By their own admissions, TNCs have added tens of thousands of vehicles to the streets of San Francisco since this underregulated industry has emerged. According to data collected by GPS developer TomTom, over the last 2 years, San Francisco has become the second most congested city in the U.S. In my 25 years of driving a legal taxi in San Francisco, I have never seen even close to this much congestion or aggressive driving behavior that I see today.
In about a sentence, please, with no commas.
Yet these transportation network companies and their drivers avoid contributing any fees or business taxes to help with the infrastructure of our roads and highways.
Thank you. With that, next witness, please.
Mr. Chair, members, Sarah Phlox, the California Labor Federation, also in opposition to this bill. Though first, we would like to thank the author for the amendments that he took to narrow the exemption in the vehicle code for commercial vehicles to make sure that this doesn't apply to public transit, paratransit, or school transportation. So we do appreciate that. But we are still opposed because the vehicle code is clear that vehicles used for hire and for transportation, transporting people for profit are commercial vehicles. And a couple words on why commercial vehicles. The speakers before me went into the wear and tear on the roads when you have a vehicle out there for 10, 12, 14 hours a day, every day of the week, that this is a fee to basically put back into public infrastructure. Another reason is that accidents and injuries involving commercial vehicles or vehicles that are driven for profit are often more complicated and involve other issues. One, there's the issues of the insurance. Others is just the levels of, say, blood alcohol. For most commercial drivers, you can only have a blood alcohol level of 0.04, not 0.08 when you're driving while on the job. So these are important things for both the other person involved in the accident or for law enforcement to know when they arrive on the scene. So it's important to have something that flags a vehicle as being a commercial vehicle and to compensate the state for the complexities of those issues when accidents do occur. And so for these reasons, we respectfully oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other members of the public who would like to testify in support of the bill or opposition? Seeing none. Committee members, do you have any questions of the author? Oh, please state your name and who you represent, if you support or oppose.
Marcelo Fonseca, career cab driver, board member, Yellow Cab San Francisco. This bill is trying to tell me the sky is
Sir,
red.
support or oppose?
And I know it's blue. I strongly oppose it.
Thank you.
Tom Diesso, San Francisco Yellow Cab Co-op, Board of Director member, and I'm opposed to this bill.
Thank you. Any members of the committee that has questions of the author? Seeing none, Mr. Lowe, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I just want to, again, thank committee members. Particularly, I just also want to make mention that we've been engaged with stakeholders and the taxicab industry since day one in inception of this bill, in addition to other stakeholders. I also want to make mention that this is a bipartisan supported effort, and will respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. I do have a motion from Mr. Linder and a second from Ms. Kim. Again, thank you, Mr. Lowe. I understand we need to work on updating our existing laws and regulations to address advancement in technology. If this bill moves forward, I would appreciate your commitment to continue working with the DMV in developing a framework that appropriately suits the industry based on the services they provide in this hybrid model. This bill is a start, but a lot more work can be done. I'll be supporting your bill today, and I appreciate you bringing this forward and identifying a clear need. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is a do pass. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Ashajian? Baker? Baker, aye. Bloom? Bloom, aye. Santiago? Chu? Daly? Dodd? Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Kim? Kim, aye. Linder? Linder, aye. Medina? Medina, aye. Melendez? Melendez, aye. Nazarian? O'Donnell.
Nine zero, that bill's out. We'll hold the roll open for absent members. Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Ms. Brown. Thank you to Mr. Perea and Mr. Chu for allowing Ms. Brown to move up in the order. She's been diligently sitting in the audience waiting for a turn because she is the silver tsunami.